Thank you, Greg, for those. Excuse me. Thank you, Greg, for those very inspirational words of transformation. And speaking of inspirational, we now have the privilege of hearing from 4 graduates. And it's my privilege to introduce them quickly. They are Jacqlyn Jones, who is, somebody's applying for Jacqlyn. Why not? Yes. Jacqlyn Jones, who has earned her Bachelor of Science in Human Resource Management. Michael Cole, who has earned his Master of Science in Information Security and Assurance. Shakira Baxter. Nice. Who has earned her Bachelor of Science in Health Informatics. And our 4th, Mark Rogers, who has earned his Master in Education in Learning and Technology. Please join me in welcoming first to the podium, Jacqlyn Jones. Jacqlyn.
Hi, I'd like to repeat the welcome to all the friends and family members that are here today for the 2013 WGU Texas commencement. When I started college, WGU Texas did not exist. Many of you in the audience did not exist either. It was really that long ago. I began college right after high school, but my father died within a year, and I quit to come home. I always felt like college was something I had already failed. It was actually my sister, Johnny, who introduced me to WGU Texas. She had read about it, thought it would be a good vehicle for me to finish that degree, and I needed to finish the degree for work. I'll tell you, I was a little skeptical, okay? The whole online thing didn't seem to be my thing. I didn't know how I'd find the time, and quite frankly, I kept reminding myself that I had already quit. I remember about 18 months ago, sitting with my laptop, my finger poised over that enter key, making a decision whether to commit to WGU Texas. And I remembered something that my father used to say. Now, my father's been gone more than 30 years, and I've forgotten more than I remember. But I'll tell you a little bit. As a young man, my father was a boxer. Very good in Golden Gloves. He boxed in the Army. And if you talked to him for very long, you talked about the ring. As a little girl, I had quite an education in the sport of kings. Not every little girl watched the news of the '68 Olympics just hoping that they would show a clip of George Foreman. But my dad and I did. This is what my dad taught me about boxing. He said, if you go in, you stay in. Now, to a fighter, that means a total commitment to the bout at hand, total commitment to each round. But I think he was also teaching me then, when something is important enough to make a commitment, you give it everything that you've got. My father believed it was better to be beaten than to quit. And my father knew about being beaten. My father probably could have worn the hat, okay. My father knew what it meant to be beaten. In his life, he was never particularly successful. He did not beat cancer. He didn't live to see all of his children, even out of high school, married. Never met any of his grandchildren. He has a granddaughter here today that he should have known, because she has a fighter spirit. But whatever happened in his life, my father stayed in and did his best every day. When every breath was a battle, he continued to fight. There were days when all he could do in a day's time was write a letter, maybe read a couple chapters in an old Zane Grey novel, and then later days when he couldn't do even that. My father didn't give up. My father was finally counted out. I was always proud of him for that. As a teenager, I was proud of him for that. And so it was with that idea and that memory, if you go in, you stay in, that I hit that little button and made my commitment to WGU Texas. I'll be honest with you, I took some blows. But what was different this time was that I had made a commitment and I had help. My sister, whom I mentioned earlier, she stayed in my corner. She stayed in my corner holding that little stool, and she supported me, she encouraged me, she loved me. Every so often, she literally pushed me back through those ropes, guys, but she kept me in. So many of you have family members here today that you have the same feeling about. You will never know how much you helped us, and you will never get the thanks that you deserve. Now, my sister's here today also, okay? She's also wearing a very fancy blue robe and sitting with the graduates. She's going to walk across the same stage as I am. She's going to receive her master's degree in business. I'm going to receive my bachelor's. And you know what? I just think that today, for the first time in a long time, my father's going to watch his two little girls standing on this stage, still standing at the final bell, Dad. We're still standing. And I think today he'll be proud too. Thank you for letting me speak.